Joining me are three of the best political analysts in the country. We have New York Daily News columnist Errol Lewis, syndicated columnist Miguel Perez, and Diana West of the Washington Times. And thanks for being with us. This was supposed to be the benchmark week on Iraq. We had General Petraeus, Ambassador Crocker. Miguel, what's your assessment? We've had all the reports in. We had the presidential speech. What's your assessment of where we stand on Iraq right now?
Well, nowhere. Unfortunately, the president lives in one planet and the rest of us live in another. He was basically explaining that all of these things, the consequences of us pulling out of Iraq, and when he listed all the consequences, there are things that already are happening in Iraq, and as a result of his taking us there, so the first thing I think the president should have done is say, look, I'm sorry, I really made a huge mistake in going to war in the first place. Now we're there, and now we don't know how to get out. Neither do the Democrats. But it should have begun with a huge apology.
That is, of course, not at all the president's style. He didn't get to be the most powerful man in the world by being uncertain about anything. And there's the situation on the ground, which is as bad as ever, and not really a lot of signs of progress. And then there's the political world back here, where I think the president is doing just fine. I mean, he's going to sort of give back a few troops, maybe 5,700 or so by Christmas. He's going to continue to make the case and to create the reality of a long-term military commitment, perhaps on the order of that tens of thousands of troops that are now in South Korea or in Western Europe. He's running his playbook. The consequences for Iraqis is not as optimistic, I think, as he portrayed it, but he's going to make us stay for the short term and possibly the long term. You know, Miguel started this with a big plea for truth, but in fact, the president has admitted some of the shortcomings of the policy. Let's play a sound clip from the president.
The government has not met its own legislative benchmarks. And in my meetings with Iraqi leaders, I have made it clear that they must.
So there he is admitting that the Iraqis have not really come up to the benchmarks that have been set out by a variety of people. That is honesty, isn't it?
Well, it's honesty, but I think when Miguel says the president's on another planet, I think that's true. Unfortunately, I think almost everyone else is on that same planet in the sense that this struggle is not about Iraq anymore. Nothing that happens inside Iraq is going to take us out successfully. Frankly, I would like to have seen Admiral Fallon brought in, the chairman of, or rather the CENTCOM chief, who for the regional area of the Middle East, to discuss how we stop this terrible threat from Iran that is creating havoc in Iraq. And I would also add that when the president calls Iraq an ally and says that we have the same moral and strategic vision as Iraq, I found that very offensive because, just for one reason, Iraq's constitution enshrines Sharia law, which is absolutely antithetical to a liberty-loving system of democracy in the West.
I was particularly struck by the president's address on Thursday night, where Iran is featured in possibly the back fifth of the speech. It came very, very late in the speech, and you bring up an interesting point. You know, there is an AP Ipsos poll on the president's approval rating and Congress's approval rating, and let's take a look at that. We have President Bush at a job approval rating of 33%. Congress, however, is lower at 26%. Do you think that the American people are looking to Congress for some leadership and not finding?
Absolutely. Looking to Pelosi and not finding it. Unfortunately, the good thing is that she's not running for president. Otherwise, the Democrats would really be in trouble. The Democrats, however, the ones who are running for president, are not offering any solutions. They're basically criticizing a lot and not coming up with a solution. How do you get us back out of this quagmire? Nobody has explained. And I think it has to begin with maybe a Republican candidate who will say, I distance myself from this president. He got us in this war, now we're there, and this is how we have to deal with it.
No, we're not really finding that.
No,
anyone. At least.
A great many Republicans, probably all the way down to county clerk candidates next year, are going to try and distance themselves from those dismal numbers. In Congress in particular, the Republicans, I think we're going to see something approaching panic because they have to defend a couple of dozen Senate seats, and the Democrats only have to defend 12. And the further away they get from 26% approval, 33% approval, the more likely they are to have a chance at staying within striking distance of regaining the majority.
Diane, last thought on this?
Well, I was just wondering if everyone was surprised, though, that the Democratic frontrunners didn't repudiate the General Betray Us ad that the MoveOn.org group ran. That seemed like such a terrible thing for Democrats to be vested in, and none of them moved away from it.
No strong movement to say anything very strong about that.
And they should have.
Yes. Yeah. The general does deserve respect for the job that he is doing at this point. We'll step away from this for a second. We'll come back with the political equation in just a moment. We'll have more with our panel. We'll be right back.
When it comes to romance, sometimes you like to be ready fast. But sometimes it's better to take things slow. For either time, one ED tablet gives you the option to choose Cialis. Cialis is the only erectile dysfunction tablet clinically proven to both go to work fast, in as little as 30 minutes for some men, and work up to 36 hours. No other ED tablet can do both. And Cialis works so you can respond to your partner only when you're both ready. Tell your doctor about your medical condition and all medications, and ask if you're healthy enough for sexual activity. Don't take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Don't drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience priapism, an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease in vision, stop taking Cialis and call your doctor right away. Why ask your doctor about Cialis? Because either sooner or later, when the moment is right, you can be ready with Cialis.
Oh yeah, of course. It made me feel better.
We are talking about staying healthy.
Quaker Oats oatmeal for 30 days.
Help lower my cholesterol level.
By 14 points.
Quaker Oatmeal is the brand that we trust.
Point drop 7. And there's my little Quaker shell.
When I see that little Quaker guy, I'm like, oh, I'm going to bring him home.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
14 points.
I actually dropped 8 points.
19. I love it.
Going down.
There was no other brand that I tried.
Quaker Oatmeal. Every day should be this good.
Works for me.
Communicate in less than a second with Nextel Direct Connect.
Nice work.
The largest and fastest push-to-talk network on the planet. That's getting it done at sprint speed. Visit sprint.com/Nextel.
Closed captioning hour sponsored in part by Aspercream. Odor-free with a sweet spot of maximum strength medicine to knock out the pain.
Can an odor-free cream stand up to your back pain?
You better fit Aspercream.
Maximum strength and odor-free. Arthritis pain stopped?
You better fit Aspercream.
Joining me once again, Errol Lewis, Miguel Perez, and Diana West. Let's wade into one of our favorite topics, which is immigration. Caused quite a little stir this week. Senator Hillary Clinton was in a debate on the Spanish language network Univision, and they took up the issue of immigration. Senator Clinton seemed to take issue with certain people's positions on immigration. Let's listen.
Senator Clinton, the negative tone of the immigration debate has left the country polarized and has created certain racist and discriminatory attitudes towards Hispanics.
Well, I think this is a very serious problem. And as I said earlier, there are many in the political and, frankly, in the broadcast world today who take a particular aim at our Latino population. And I think it's very destructive.
Well, the New York Times later asked the Clinton campaign to clarify the comments, what the senator meant by these comments. And this is what the senator had to say. A spokesman for Mrs. Clinton said after the debate that she was referring to the CNN anchor Lou Dobbs, among others. Now, as you know, and we have on many occasions discussed immigration at this desk, we try to keep it in a very intelligent and fair discussion. Miguel, what is your reaction to this?
There is a negative connotation to this whole thing. It is, the debate is polarizing the country, but picking on one or two individuals, I mean, talk radio people are doing this all over the country. I think they've changed the tone of the debate somewhat. Unfortunately, on those talk radio programs where they do bash immigrants, they do not allow people like myself to come on and present the other side. on this program, here I am. So, and I quite often explain that I am for a legalization plan, not amnesty, as some of you folks want to call it, but still, I am given the opportunity to present the other side of the story.
We certainly applaud your viewpoint. You know, we were speaking earlier about Elvira Arellano and her crusade, and you had some very interesting thoughts about that.
Yeah, well, it's not about a personality. It should not. We should not. This woman, obviously, the attention has gone to her head because people in the beginning began when the whole thing started. They started calling her Rosa Parks, and I think that's very offensive. There is no comparison. You know, this woman was deported and was ordered deported, and she defied the law. This is not about demanding. I am in favor of giving amnesty or whatever you want to call it to illegal immigrants, but it's not about demanding anything. It's about asking for mercy. And this is not what this woman is doing. She's actually using her child to promote her cause.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me move on to some of the campaign issues because they're very important. Hillary Clinton's campaign, let's point this out, the Clinton campaign announcing they're going to conduct criminal background checks on fundraisers after the issues that have been raised about some of their fundraising. Do you believe, Errol, that this is a positive sign and that the campaign can move forward?
Well, they had no choice, and they did it somewhat under duress. The first move was to say, well, we'll give back $23,000 and, you know, we'll put some towards charity. It wasn't clear that they were going to really sort of go the whole distance until it became clear that this was somebody who was not just a fugitive for 17 years, but had been involved in all kinds of stuff that they really probably could have known about if they bothered to inquire. So they're raising the standard, perhaps a little bit reluctantly, maybe kicking and screaming to this higher standard, but it's something that all candidates will have to do, and that's probably a good thing.
Diana, I just want to bring up the poll numbers. Clinton, 44%, Barack Obama, 25%, Edwards, 16%. That's a poll of Democrats. We have a few seconds left.
Juggernaut continues, but I still find it amazing that criminal background checks now are required in this campaign. It's very much typical that the Clintons would introduce this to us, to our politics.
It's certainly been an interesting campaign so far. It's been an early campaign, and I look forward to further developments. Just in the interest of fairness, we have the Republican poll, Giuliani at 28%, Thompson at 27%, McCain at 15%,